Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Hey there, everybody. This is Larry. Are you ready to transform your sales approach and build authentic relationships? I'd like to ask you a personal favor. Pre-order your copy of Selling in a Post-Trust World on barnesandnoble.com today. The book launches on August 13th, and your pre-order is crucial. By pre-ordering, you help us get the attention of stores like Barnes & Noble, building distribution and creating a successful launch as we spread this movement of authenticity. If every listener pre-orders, we will definitely get on the radar of Barnes & Noble. Plus, you'll get exclusive access to our special 12-episode private podcast, diving deeper into each chapter of the new book. Don't miss out. Click the link in the show notes to head over to barnesandnoble.com. Pre-order Selling in a Post-Trust World now and start your journey to authentic sales success. Remember, it's not just about selling. It's about selling from the heart.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, great seeing you. Another great day here. You know what? I was just gotten to thinking, we've crossed the football guy. We've crossed the 50-yard line of this year. Come on, we're in the middle of summer now. What's going on, Darrell?
Well, hey, right here in the middle of this summer, we got to stay focused. We got to stay energized. We got to stay motivated. We have got Dr. Cindy in the house today. This is going to be an amazing conversation. Just get ready. You may want to even grab a pen and notepad for this one. Summer is here. We love what's going on here inside Selling from the Heart, inside the Selling from the Heart community. And Larry, all summer long, we've gotten these pictures of people holding up the new book, Selling in a Post-Trust World. It's been in vacation spots. It's been on tour around the world. I'm just so excited about this new book, Larry. And it is so fun seeing all of our friends with the book, holding it up, smiling. And this movement of trust and authenticity continues to grow all over the world.
You know, absolutely. I got to give a special shout out to Bill McCormick. And there's a backstory behind this. I'm going to make this really brief. But he brought out in one picture, he encompassed both books. In Selling from the Heart, I talk about how not to be an empty suit. And obviously in Selling in a Post-Trust World, obviously we're talking about trust. He holds up the book in front of a bunch of empty suits in Nashville, Tennessee. Bill McCormick, you rock. I appreciate the picture. I've seen it all. I've seen it with food. I've seen them with the books on the beach. I've seen them everywhere. But to see the new book in front of empty suits warms my heart.
So if you want to get your copy of Selling in a Post-Trust World, you're going to have to wait because it actually is going to release on August 13th. But wait, you can get an advanced reader's edition. We've been talking about this on the podcast. If you want to get an advanced reader's copy of Selling in a Post-Trust World, just go to the website, sellinginapostttrustworld.com. Get your advanced reader's copy. There's some freebies in there. Larry's going to autograph it and send it to you. And we'd love for you to snap one of those selfies with the book while you're on vacation or maybe even working. It would be great. This is a lot of fun. We're going to have just a great time with this launch as it's coming out. Thank you to everybody who is supporting it. Well, today we've got an incredible guest. We've got the first lady of sales in the studio, Dr. Cindy McGovern. She's a Wall Street Journal bestselling author of the book, Every Job is a Sales Job, How to Use the Art of Selling to Win at Work. Dr. McGovern holds a doctorate in organizational communication and a master's in marketing, specializing in leadership and ethics, which she applies to her groundbreaking approach to sales training. In the book, Every Job is a Sales Job, Dr. Cindy revolutionizes the way we think about sales, arguing that sales skills are essential for success in any profession. Her book is a practical guide that teaches how to master the art of selling to achieve personal and professional goals, regardless of your career path. Dr. Cindy is in the studio. Welcome to Selling from the Heart. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you guys, and congratulations on the book, the new book, and having that photo in front of the empty suits. I love that. What a great one. That's such a winner.
It's a double whammy. Great seeing you.
Great to see you guys.
This is going to be such a fun conversation. And as we kick it off, Dr. Cindy, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
What it means to me is that it is only about helping the other person. And if you happen to make that sale, that's selling from the heart. Selling from the heart can sometimes also mean walking away if it's not right.
Oh, I like this because I've always said this. And here's the conundrum. I think you all agree with me with this. It's hard for a lot of salespeople to walk away when they look at the funnel and they go, uh-oh.
Yep.
Right? And I'll raise my hand. I've been there. I think we've all been there, but it's in selling from the heart, Dr. Cindy, I always talk about this. If you want to have a never flowing sales funnel, you got to build a never flowing relationship funnel and watch what starts to happen. But it plays into exactly what you're saying.
I love that, though, because it really is about remembering that you're selling yourself before you're selling your product or your service. And so you still made a sale, but you sold them on the fact that you're trustworthy. You sold them on the fact that you have their best interest at heart. And then now you've created a walking commercial for you who's going to go sell 10 more people for you and for your product and your service. So I'm a big fan of that. We all have very similar values that we're aligned in. So I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, you could see that right away when you start to look at your book, your newest book, Every Job is a Sales Job, how to use the art of selling to win at work. I think what you've done here is really, really clever in terms of coaching everybody to recognize that they're in sales. I think anybody that is in sales has said that at some point along the way. And what I really love is at the beginning of this book, you hit on two things that are, well, one's near and dear to my heart and one's near and dear to Larry's heart. And that was planning and authenticity.
Oh, yeah.
And blending those two things together was really, really brilliant. Planning and authenticity. Coach us on how you brought those two things together, because I think this is extremely powerful.
So I am a total hyper planner, truth be told. I am that, we same. You're my people. Like, I'm the gal that if it's not on the to-do list, I put it on there so I can mark it off, right?
Yes.
But the problem is we have to be authentic about who we are, what we can do, and what's achievable as well. And I'm guilty of this. I know a lot of very high producing salespeople are guilty of, but I'm going to shoot for the moon. That's great. If you can get there in your most authentic way, you're not selling your soul to get there. You're not pushing people. I mean, we can smell desperation breath a mile away, right? So we know it's got to be about who you are at your core and doing it the right way. And so you have to plan for that. And that takes a little bit more effort than getting out there pounding pavement, whether it's virtual or literal, and finding opportunities. And in that is being able to walk away when it doesn't fit, because it's more authentic to who you are and your own personal brand. And that's what you're selling before anything else.
Hey, there's some around authenticity that I just keyed on that what you said, and I'm hoping that we can dive deeper into this. And it's knowing who you are. And I think a lot of people struggle with this. Yeah. And it could be obviously for various reasons. The first thing that comes to mind is they're afraid of what's going to happen when they open up the cupboard into themselves. Is the only way I know how to put it. Is coach us along the way on what somebody can do to kind of set that scariness aside and say, you know what, if I go inward, this allows me to have all that success on the outside that I know I really want, but I have to be willing to do things a little bit different, which means these are mirror moments. Coach us around some of this.
So 100% yes, everything you just said. So it's funny, my second book is called Sell Yourself, and it's about your personal brand. And that's literally what this is knowing who you are as a brand and knowing who you want to be. But that's a lot of self-awareness. And that can be very scary for a lot of people. And it's funny because in that book, I talk about doing some exercises around this. Ask people how they describe you. What are the words they're using when you're not in the room? And are those the ones that you want? Or are they discounting you by kind of filing you in the cabinet as the same as the other four guys that do kind of what you do? And so if we're really open about that and we're really open to the feedback that's available to us, it's actually going to make you stronger. I call them your superpowers. Like we all have superpowers. I have to know what mine are versus somebody else's, but I've got to embrace that. And I've also got to know what I'm not good at and be able to be honest and open about that. And then you can actually bring those superpowers to your sales game. And I think we practice sales. I think it's like we practice medicine, we practice law, we're sales practitioners. So this is part of your evolution of a brand of yourself and being very authentic and allowing more and more of that authenticity into your sales practice.
I love it. I love it. This concept of branding yourself and really bringing your authentic self to the marketplace, I think is so critical right now. It's interesting to just talk to groups of people over the last month. And I asked every group of people I spoke with, raise your hand if you think people are less skeptical today than they were 5 years ago. Well, that one's easy, right? No hands go up. And obviously the counterpoint is unanimous. I think people would say that, yeah, we're actually more skeptical than we are. How do you think authenticity and trust interact when it comes to our personal brand? It seems, here's where I'm going with this, Dr. Cindy. I think sometimes when you hear about personal branding, I think one of the first reactions that some people might have is, well, that's not very authentic. But coach us on how that actually, maybe the opposite of that is the more true way to look at it.
So the funny thing is you have a personal brand, whether you realize it or not. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows it. Do you? And so you have that. And I think that this is one of those things in sales too, especially for sales professionals, is how are you really known? Are you showing up in that way? Are you reinforcing the wrong facets of your brand by being pushy or too on top of it, too on the nose? Or are you that very authentic self? And we all know this. Okay, we're all high achieving sales professionals. Like it's the highlight reel is what you want to share. But sharing the real stuff too about, it was an overnight success after 7 years of prospecting. Let's be clear that we have to be authentic about that and showing that there is a movement that happens before the success happens. And I think by showing some of those pieces, it allows people to see you more as a person. And I say this a lot in the coaching that I do with sales professionals. Remember, they're a person before they're a prospect. And once you recognize the personal connection, and I'm not saying you have to be friends with your clients, but that personal connection allows you to reveal your personal brand. And that's what I'm really buying into. I can see a mile away if you're faking it. I can see if you're selling me. We all can see that. And in this post-trust world, let's just get back to trusting each other as humans before we try to sell each other stuff.
Oh, here. And I go back to, there's two words that are near and dear to me. It's how well you can connect to somebody and how well you can relate to somebody. And whether you believe this or not is this. Now, I'm not talking about you, but just in general, I'm talking about just a general statement here is, and this is where salespeople really have a hard time latching onto this, is we believe it's selling from the heart. You're responsible for how you show up. How are you showing up? And if you are showing up in an inauthentic way, people can sense that very, very fast, right? But if you show up in an authentic way, and guess what? We're all authentic human beings. It's the choice that we make. That's why you're responsible for how you show up. It's how are you choosing to show up?
I love that. And I completely agree. And I have this conversation with people that I coach who virtually. I said, whether you're sitting in that person's office or you're sitting in your home office and virtually sitting in their office, it all matters.
Yep.
Because all of that goes to your authentic brand. You wouldn't walk in, wearing hot pink sweatpants on the bottom if you walked into their office. So don't wear hot pink sweatpants in case the tech fails, right? and that's an easy way to say like the authenticity of like you're faking it. The top part is professional, the bottom part is relaxation. But it truly is about who are you really? And who do you want the world to know you as? And I think that we've all been sold by the inauthentic salesperson. We've all been sold and here's the thing, nobody likes to be sold, but everybody loves to buy. The whole point is to invite them in. And you can't invite them in unless I trust that you're safe. And that's what we forget in sales is I have to feel safe to continue this conversation. It has to not feel dangerous. It has to not feel manipulative, or else I'm not going to be open enough to be vulnerable to tell you what I really need. And if we get back to that, I think that really pushes us more towards that authenticity in sales.
I love that you bring a lot of expertise and communication to this, because ultimately sales is communication, very, very applied. I'm curious when it comes to the things that we do that put up the shield, the defenses, and all of that. What are some examples of things that we do from our personal branding standpoint that actually erode trust? Other than, by the way, I think the hot pink yoga pants. I really think Larry should change after this, Larry. But other than Larry's hot pink yoga pants, what are some other things that we do that can erode trust?
So, I mean, the attire is the easiest one because it's that professional buttoned up. You want to look like you're put together. But it's also about the way that you respond or lack of response is one of the easiest ways to erode trust. It's funny because I'll get salespeople who say, well, Dr. Cindy, I feel like I'm stalking them. I'm like, well, it's not stalking until they call the popo. So no, you're not stalking them. There's no restraining orders. You're totally good. But I invite you to consider that becomes part of your brand. Are you genuinely and authentically trying to help them, or are you genuinely and authentically just trying to sell them? You can feel that difference. And so the way that you're going after them, the way that you're prospecting, the things that you're saying in your email, is it a throwaway email that's still checking in on you? That doesn't tell me you care about me. That doesn't tell me anything other than you're trying to get an appointment with me to sell me something. Give me something else in there that shows me who you are and why I should trust you with my very valuable time to be willing to have this conversation. So I think it's the way that you show up in all of your communication matters, and the lack thereof. So for example, even the way that you respond or when you respond. I'm a hyper response person. I can't go to bed if the inbox is full. Like, I'm just that girl. But it's also, are you responsive enough that you're getting back to them within a certain amount of time that they can trust that you will always do that? And those are things that erode trust, but also deepen and build trust and create better advocacy in those people for you as your personal brand and as a salesperson.
Oh, this is really good. And you keyed in on something that's just near and dear to me. And it's all the various ways that salespeople, and I'll submit sales leaders because they got a prospect as well, is how are you all showing up in various forms? And part of the trust formula in selling in a post-trust world is an inspirational experience, which boils down to how are you showing up? So let's just think together for a moment, right? If you're trying to capture somebody's time and attention, and you're also vying for all the other salespeople that are calling on them with all the various tactics that they're using. And it all boils down to one thing. And I really, really, really believe this is these people are benchmarking you. They're benchmarking your conversations. They're benchmarking your messaging. How are y'all showing up with that experience that shares that you're professional, that you're there because you want to help, as opposed to taking up their time and showing up as an empty suit, just like everybody else.
So true. I have this conversation when I'm coaching salespeople and sales leaders as well. Even with the sales leaders, you're selling your team on the fact that you're a good leader. You're selling your team on the fact that you're there to support them and that their goals are in fact your goals. It's not a competition. You want them to succeed. You want to take that B+ player, make them an A- player and beyond. So in that, I think it's really important to remember that the way that you're showing up, every single interaction is a transaction of trust. And I literally will say this, and I think there's 3 phases, right? So there's transactionships. There's some sort of transactional piece. I'll buy from you once, or I'll meet with you once. There's some transactional piece. Then you move to the relationship phase, which is, okay, we're in it and I trust you, but there's still some stuff that maybe I'm not going to let you look over here. Then you're in partnership. And the goal is to get to partnership. And partnership is when I actually see your success as my success, even if I'm your customer. I want you to grow. I want you to hit your quotas. I want you to do well. That's a very different place to be with those 3 populations. You're only going to get to partnership by deepening that trust and being authentic and really finding a way to connect with them as a human, so that you actually create a partnership where you are intertwined. And it's funny because I think a lot of people get stuck in transactionships, and then they'll get to partnership and think they're done, or to relationship and they think they're done. They're like, oh, but they're already in. Like, there's another phase. And if your current customers are not advocates for you, that's the biggest telltale sign that you're still in a relationship, not a partnership.
Oh, that's so solid. And it brings up a topic that I wanted to think about together today. And that's cross-selling as well. And, I think to me, I love this concept of transactionship, by the way. That's beautiful. That was really, really powerful. And you get to relationship, but I think one of the hallmarks, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, one of the hallmarks of a partnership might be their willingness to buy other stuff from you. Because let's just face it. We all go into companies and we see so much low-hanging fruit of opportunity when it comes to cross-sell revenue. Yet so many sales professionals struggle in what should be an easy area. And I suspect it might have something to do with getting stuck at the relationship level and not having moved to the partnership level. What do you think?
I think that's absolutely part of it. And I also think that there's an internal struggle that some salespeople have where they don't trust their colleagues enough to take care of the cross-sell part. So it's okay, I bet on me. I know I'm good and I know I'm going to take care of you. But then when I bring in another department or another entity or somebody else, there's like 2 little inner battles. One is, will they still love me at the end of the day? The answer is yes. And then, will this other person take as good a care of them as I will? So there's this internal battle that you have to get over before you even get to that cross-sell aspect. But I 100% agree with you. I think we leave a lot of solutions on the table, not just business on the table, but solutions. And I'm sure you guys have this conversation with clients too, is if you don't offer it, your competition is more than happy to go in and offer that as their entry point. Then they get to cross-sell what you're already selling them. Like, we have to remember, you could be losing the sale you have already simply because you're not willing to go into that cross-selling territory. So I think that that's a career staller if you're not careful.
Yeah, this is what I started to think about. This is what just danced through my head just now. There's external trust and there's internal trust. And I think if we swam upstream on this one, and y'all know where I'm going if we're swimming upstream with this, is there's the internal trust factor that will strengthen external trust. Because what you guys are alluding to, I see all the time when we're coaching salespeople is, hey, I'm building all this trust, but I'm too afraid to let go because I know what happens when I pass it over to somebody. They're not working with that person like I am, or I can't trust this person. So it becomes a difficult battle. That's why I was just thinking external trust, internal trust. They both have to be aligned.
100%. And I think that this is also where we have to remember internal customers, external customers, right?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, how do you sell yourself on this idea? Then how do you sell a colleague on the idea? Then how do you sell it externally? And it was funny, we were working with a bank not that long ago, and the whole focus was deepening relationships for cross-selling to the different divisions of the bank. And a lot of the questions from the crowd were, but they're not going to treat them like I do. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, that's true. Maybe they're going to treat them better. And that's the part we forget, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're my client, I a little bit maybe put you on autopilot. We have a great relationship. I can read your mind. You can read mine. Maybe this is actually a benefit where this other department's going to come in. They're going to uncover things that you haven't, simply because you don't have the vocabulary to ask those questions. So this is going to maybe even strengthen and deepen, but it's a very vulnerable place. I mean, I'll admit it too, as a salesperson, it's a very vulnerable place. But to go back to sort of the transactionship, relationship, partnership, when you have a client that's willing to explore this with you and then come back to you to have the conversation before they make a decision, you're in partnership, not relationship. You've gotten there. You are their person. They're going to come back and have that conversation.
That's so good. As we wrap up here, I just want to go into this concept about everyone's in sales. And I know in the book, you provide an incredible resource for getting people in, service people, customer support people, implementation people, that on these different teams that don't think they're in sales, but as salespeople, we all know that they trust these people more than they trust us most of the time, right? So how can my question, Dr. Cindy, is I've seen it happen over and over and over, because customers will say, I trust that guy more than I trust you. You're like, oh, okay, well, listen to him. Listen to them. My question is, as sales professionals, what can we do to support, encourage, nurture, coach, whatever adjective or verb we want here? What can we do to help our peers in customer support or implementation, all the kind of after the sale type functions? What can we do to help them cross-sell, and how can we work more together with them in partnership to grow the business?
I see what you did there. Partnership. I saw that. Very nice. I caught that.
Delivery ship. Yeah, it's a delivery ship, a relationship, and a partnership.
I love it. No, and the very basic part of this is, don't call it sales, because if they wanted to be in sales, they'd be vying for your job. So don't go to the service department and tell them they need to learn to sell behind the desk. No, they don't. And you don't want them to, because they might actually be better than you. So what you want them to do is be the best darn service person that they can be. But I don't love the word service. I think it's overused. I think it's sort of a general term for like this thing that's over here that nobody really knows what it is. So talk to them about being proactive.
Yeah.
Talk to them about what they can do to feel a little bit more in control of their day, a little bit more in control of the dumpster fires du jour that are going to happen. Have a little compassion around what they're dealing with. And to the sales leaders that are listening and watching, it's also remembering that they are in sales because they're responsible for your biggest book of business if they're doing anything with renewals and service, and helping to empower them, give them those skills to be more proactive, give them the skills to be able to gain a little bit more control, to know what to say, because they're never going to become those salespeople unless they have a desire to do that. And that's not really what we're after. What we're after is that everybody's rowing in the same direction to make sure those clients are cared for in the way that clients want to be cared for. Mm-hmm. So they've got to get good at the art of questioning. They've got to get really good at time management on a call to get the ROI out of the call or the chat. Those are things that rarely are they taught unless they come to folks like us for training. They end up doing a lot of training on what to say, like scripted things, or how to handle a crisis. Teach them how to be people, to have really good conversations, to gain trust with the other person on the phone or the other end of that chat. The rest of that conversation is going to go much more smoothly. And that's what we as salespeople can help them do too. Give them a little more background. Say, this one over here, yeah, he's kind of a bear, but he's not really. He's a kitty cat. He's like not super scary, but he's going to bark and he's going to cry and he's going to do these things. But here's how you handle him. Give them the tools to equip them to help you achieve your goal, which is taking care of the customer, which is their exact goal too.
Love
Hey,
it.
Darrell, you know what I love about what you just said, Cindy, is there's one word I just really keyed in on. It's conversations. Is you as salespeople and leaders, right? If it's the internal people, is help coach and guide them to have better conversations through better questionings, which means you guys got to be curious as heck as to what is going on, because we all know this. Nothing happens in sales unless you can have a really, really, really good conversation with somebody, both business and personal.
Yeah.
But it's all in the art of how you ask these questions.
The art of questioning. It's funny you say the curiosity thing, because, in business, we always used to hear always be closing, ABC.
Yeah.
And I do believe in ABC, but I actually call it always be curious.
Yeah.
Because if that curiosity is driving you, whether it's your colleague, your internal customer, or your external customer, that conversation will go deeper.
Yep. Amen on that one.
Wow, what a great conversation. Dr. Cindy, I know everyone listening in is asking themselves one question that they're very curious about, and that is, how can I get more Dr. Cindy in my life?
I'm very easy to find, drcindy.com or one ST Lady of Sales on any of the social media platforms. And I have an ask for your audience. I want to hear how they're taking this amazing podcast and all the things you guys are sharing with them. I want to hear what they're doing to elevate their sales game and help other people. I think you guys are doing some incredible work here and sharing your hearts with everybody. So thank you so much for having me.
That's our pleasure. Thank
Awesome.
you for investing your time with us.
It's an honor.
Yeah, Dr. Cindy, you rock. Thanks for sharing time today. This has been amazing.
I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh.
What an incredible conversation, Larry, and so much gold in there. First of all, I know everyone's going to want to hit pause and grab Dr. Cindy's books. This is an incredible resource, and this mindset of curiosity, and how can we be curious, not only with our clients and prospects, but also with our team internally, and driving those conversations and moving from the delivery ship to the partnership inside the company. And these are the concepts, these are the things that are, they're the things that nobody's thinking about. And they're the things that when you start playing the game this way, you set yourself up for a lot more success and a lot more fulfillment.
Yeah. And all I'd ask is, we really got to take to heart, what does a partnership really mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to encourage you here at Selling from the Heart, really peel that back, because I think, unfortunately, is a lot of times we get caught in the transaction zone. Sometimes we even get caught in the relationship zone. You all know I'm high relationship, but you got to bring substance to the table. If you're not bringing substance to the table, you can never move it to partnership. I just really believe if you get caught in the transaction zone, you're replaceable. You are 100% replaceable. So we're just asking you to think, just marinate and stew on our conversation over the last half an hour and just go, what do I need to do to move through all these phases so I can get to that partnership zone?
Well, one thing you definitely need is trust. And we got to figure out how to sell in a post-trust world. How do you like that transition, Larry?
Hey, that was pretty good.
Make sure to grab your advanced reader's copy and stay tuned as we get closer here to the actual launch inside Barnes & Noble and all our other retailer friends. We want to just engage and really make sure we're adding the value that we can to help you sell in a post-trust world, and also the people that are in your bullpen and your friends as well. Thank you to everyone who's supporting us in this. Sellinginaposttrustworld.com to get your advanced reader's copy. It's right here in the middle of summer. It's hot outside, and it is hot on the Selling from the Heart podcast. We've got great guests coming up in the rest of this summer and all through the fall. So make sure to like and subscribe. And man, huge thank you to everybody who's leaving reviews on this podcast from all over the world. This is helping us spread this movement of trust and authenticity right here in this sales profession we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. We're grateful because this doesn't happen without all of you. So thank you, because we're in this together. It's about elevating the bar in the sales profession. We're in this together. We appreciate you. Thank you for all the support.
Yeah. And thanks again to Dr. Cindy. Till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, move from relationship to partnership, and most of all,
Sell from the heart.